Dove Center is the area service provider for Washington and Kane counties to provide shelter, advocacy, and counseling to primary and secondary survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, and stalking. And we also provide prevention and community awareness. Dove Center benefits the community in a multitude of ways, ranging from providing safe shelter and a safe place so that victims have somewhere to go and have someone to help safety plan with them. We provide advocacy and counseling and support even just through our hotline. So if someone has questions or if a community member needs information on how to help someone. But really it's all to come back to providing options for survivors so that no one has to stay isolated and in silence in their abuse, because it's very emotionally toxic and damaging, but it's very unsafe because abuse always escalates. And without intervention, people are unfortunately imprisoned and kind of held hostage in intimate partner relationships and in what should be the safety of your own home. And we want to be able to provide options for people so they don't have to go it alone, and so that if they are contemplating leaving an abusive relationship, there is a safe place where advocacy and information can be provided so that that risky moment of trying to leave an abusive relationship has some safety components to it, so that there's a plan, because it's the most dangerous time for a victim is when they're trying to leave an abusive relationship. Our culture tends to be quick to wonder, well, I wonder why. Why did that happen? If it was a sexual assault or an allegation of rape, or if there's an abuse assault, people want to make sense of it. And so there's this quick tendency to ask, well, what did that person do to deserve it, or what provoked it? And it kind of sets us up as a society to be victim blaming, and that can further silence victims because they themselves are already blaming and wondering, what did I do to cause this, and what can I do to fix it? And there's a lot of perpetuation of self-doubt and confusion, and people are limited in their coping mechanisms when they're in this toxic cycle of abuse. And that has an impact on future generations. So we have a community that remains in silence and doesn't identify the issues. And we have future generations that are growing up in homes where there's violence, or raised by parents who have maintained their silence and haven't broken that, so that youth who are going through these situations, they learn to keep it silent, and it just perpetuates this cycle. And it does have a larger impact on the community, because if everyone just dismisses that there's a responsibility in the abuser's behavior, then that abuser's never going to change. They're never going to be held accountable, and it takes a whole system to come around and enforce that change. There are options, there are ways out. That cycle can be ended as long as there's support. And if people don't know there's support available, they will continue to go it alone, and they will continue to just be strong. I've worked with so many women who, I just need to be strong, and I can do this. And oftentimes it's when we start to recognize that it's our children that are being affected, that people will say, okay, something has to be done, something has to change, because I don't want this for my kids. But we ourselves, we can be tough, right? So it's easy for us to just, take on the abuse, the beating, the assault, whatever it is, and just try to work through it. And it doesn't have to be that way, and it really can be prevented.